After Talk Radio, you're in to all things music.
Welcome to Intersect Radio, where music, faith, and life converge. With your host, Aaron the A-Train Smith.
Howdy, howdy. Welcome, everybody, to Intersect. Today is Tuesday, December the 12th, the year of our Lord, 2017. Can you believe that's 2017? And it's not going to be 2017 very soon, in a few weeks. Man, I was just talking to my guest today, who is Mr. Otto Price, better known as Sugar Bear. So if you guys want to say hello, you say hello to Sugar Bear, okay? You know, this is my 33rd show today, and it's going to be my last live show for the year because Intertalk Radio Network is taking a break for the NAMM show next month, and we're going to come back with a new format, videos to advertise the programs and stuff like that. So stay tuned for big changes, big news coming out of Intertalk Radio. But thank you for joining us today. And like I said, my guest today is the one and only Mr. Otto Sugar Bear Price. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm
Man,
with A-Train, man. Come on now.
It's good to have you down in here in the dungeon.
I love it, man.
Yeah, that's cool. We hadn't seen each other in years.
Yes.
You know, and we run into each other at the grocery store.
Yes, at a grocery store, and that was great.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. It's only things that can only happen in Nashville.
Right. And it's like, hey, I know you. You look familiar.
Exactly.
I haven't seen you in like 20 years.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was great. And then we went on a cruise together.
That's true.
Yeah.
With our wives.
With our wives. Yeah,
not just
yeah,
together.
Yeah. Making music together
Yeah,
and stuff like that. It was
Exactly.
great. And now here you are.
Yes.
And I'm anxious to get to talk to you. I've gotten a lot of posts. And there are a lot of your fans are glad you're on the show today. And because they really want to get to know you. They say, man, I love his sound, his bass playing, and I've seen him play, but, you know, I don't know the guy.
Right.
And this is going to be great, you know.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it will be archived forever,
Uh-oh.
you know.
Okay.
Your grandchildren can get
Yes.
to know you, you know, all that stuff.
They won't get to know me personally, but they can pull this up as an archive.
Right.
So that's what that old man was talking
That's
about.
right. Exactly. So you hail from Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh,
yes.
man. You've been busy.
Yeah.
You know, we met back in the 90s. We were doing music for the Jesus Freak record.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't think I had seen you since then.
Wow. Has it been that? Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, I would see you, but, you know, you're famous, so.
Right.
I was looking from afar.
Right. Okay. I was on my magic carpet.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. So you've been like a music producer since then, A&R guy.
Right.
Wow, that's killer. How did all that sort of stuff come about?
Yeah. So for me, early on, even before I got into, just part of my story is I had a baseball scholarship to Tuskegee. And didn't really take music that seriously. And then I just thought it's nice and it's fun. So I really approached music more athletically, it can't be that hard. So I would learn instruments like keyboards or bass or drums. And at the church we were at, when I was probably 18 or 19, and I would just approach it from an athletic standpoint. I would have people tell me, okay, this is the key of C and this is middle C. And I would just learn it from an athletic standpoint, like just almost positions, how you place your hand, almost like how you throw a curveball or how you throw a knuckleball. This is the placement of your hand. So since then, I really feel like it's been a gift of God's. That's been developed, but it was there. Music was definitely in, but it was like I grew up in a musical family. I wasn't like the church we go to Debbie Winans is our worship pastor. So, I mean, Debbie grew up around music. So she had BB and CC as older siblings. I didn't have that. Yeah. My mom was very musical. My sister's musical. And my dad was musical as well, but we really didn't play a lot of music around the house. Yeah. So because of that, I always liked all aspects of music. And we have we both have a good friend, John Painter. Mm-hmm. And John and I have talked, his growing up, he would listen to music and kind of do scoring when he was a kid. I would do similar kind of things. I would look at music and the music business as different areas that I had interest in. So that's how I got into making records and then making those records and then taking to labels and going, hey, I produced this. And I love the business side of it. And sort of things just sort of fell into place. But I always knew early on I wanted to be a part of the content creation part of it. I love touring, but I really love the business side of it. I love that.
So let's go back to Atlanta, Georgia, when you were born and raised.
Right. I was a wee lad.
Yes, a wee lad. Carrying a big bass.
Carrying a big bass.
Or a baseball.
Exactly.
Or a baseball bat.
Exactly.
Yes. Your parents still living?
My mom is. My dad actually was, he passed away. He had cancer from Agent Orange, but
really?
Yeah.
He's a Vietnam
vet, yeah. And so I'm a military, go blue.
Air Force?
Air Force. Definitely Air Force.
Yeah, my dad was in the Air Force.
Yeah. That's why we get along. That's for the Air Force tie. So you know this. I mean, technically I say Atlanta, but that's where my dad retired. So I was born in Savannah, lived in Europe. My sister was born in Wiesbaden, Germany. Lived in Massachusetts. That was kind of my formative years when I was a kid. That's why I love all the Boston teams, except for the Patriots. But that's another story. I'm a Steelers fan. And my dad retired in Omaha, Nebraska, and we moved to Atlanta when I was 12 or 13. So Atlanta was really when I came into my own as a young man, 12 or 13 years old. And so I was there for probably 10 or 12 years. And that's when I met my wife, soon-to-be wife, but she was my girlfriend. I met her at church. And
so tell me, are you one of these kids that grew up playing in church?
I did. I really did.
Wow.
And I going back to the musical side of it, I loved ministry. I loved being in church. My full transparency, I played baseball. I was really, not being arrogant. I was good at it. So I had scholarships, but I was playing it at such a high level for so long. I really got burned out. But I loved the idea of ministry and how we could connect with people. So when I was at this church, my highest aspiration was I could be the associate pastor at this church. I thought that'd be great. And at that time, they had a need in their youth department for somebody to do music for the worship, to do worship for the youth group. And so that's how I learned to play keyboards. And I said, well, if you need a keyboard player, I can lead. And then I learned to play bass the same way. And it was a great, to me, that's why a lot of great musicians come from church, because it's a great training ground. There's a lot of support usually. And there's not a lot of, you get a chance to really try out different things.
Right. So not a lot of criticism.
Not a lot of criticism.
Judgment.
No.
Right. You're much more appreciated.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and encouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it like moving from place to place, being a military brat?
It was good and bad. So my wife, she has these fantastic stories of when she was a kid going to her grandmother's house. I say they're fantastic, but because I don't really have those. Because she would say, yeah, I would go spend time at my grandmother's house, and she has cousins that she grew up with. I didn't really have those because we were in a different place every year. And so we would see my grandparents once every 3 or 4 years. But I was in a new school pretty much till I was 12 or 13, like at least once or twice a year. So different school, different city.
Different country.
And so while it could be a bit stressful, it also taught me how to acclimate pretty well. And it kind of taught me once you start traveling in the music business, you have to acclimate and get used to a different city. And it was good training for me for what I do now.
Yeah. You know, I had this experience of playing in Germany with Romeo Void. And one night we were playing near some army base, American army base. And a group of soldiers tried to steal our instruments.
Wow.
While we were in the dressing room, and, you know,
Wow.
the crew had packed up the bus, and we're still in the dressing room, and somebody shouts out that you're being robbed.
Wow.
And so we dash out of the dressing room, and it's over rolling hills, you know. You can see these silhouettes with guitar cases, you know, like running and laughing and stuff. And so they got caught.
Right.
And the next day we had to go to MP station, military police station, and file a claim. And the guy was saying, the guy in charge there was saying that it was so hard for American soldiers over there because they kind of made it hard for themselves because they wouldn't acclimate to the environment.
Right.
They wouldn't take time to learn the language or anything. You know, they made fun of it. You know, it wasn't good enough, that sort of thing.
Right.
And I always remember that story, you know, and the importance of, you know, knowing your surroundings and trying to fit into your surroundings instead of, you know, standing on the outside looking in all the time.
That's how I felt for me. You get to, when you live in Europe a lot of that I don't remember. I was a little kid, but I remember Massachusetts, which is very different than Nebraska, which is definitely much different than Atlanta. You learn how to acclimate.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that my sister, she had this really strong New England accent. So she go, "Mom, going to the car." And so you move to Atlanta and you're saying you're a young woman of color saying car. You better learn how to become Southern real quick.
Yeah, we used to, when I was growing up, half my family lived in Boston.
Okay.
So every other summer we'd go up there.
Wicked cool.
Yeah. And my uncle up there used to call us farmers.
Oh, wow.
Because we lived down south.
Okay.
But it was weird because we'd always take the bus, and we always had our shoebox with chicken and deviled eggs and stuff like that, you know. And you see the grease stains on the shoebox.
Yeah.
And the major hub was Grand Central Station.
Okay.
And you had to get out there and change buses to go
wow.
the rest of the way. Yeah, it was quite the experience.
Yes.
But so you have one sister?
I do have one sister.
You have any brothers?
Nope, just my one sister.
Just two of you, huh?
Just two of us.
And she's older than you, I take it?
She's my younger sister.
Oh, she's younger.
And she's my older sister, so she controls all parts of my life.
How did she get a New England accent and you escaped that?
I think I kind of have this almost Midwestern accent. I mean, she definitely, now if you hear her, she's definitely, I call her my Oprah. She's not a black woman. She's just Oprah. She's just Ange. You know, she's just this woman who's a powerhouse. I'm proud of her. But yeah, she had that when we were kids. But yeah, she outgrew that.
Yeah.
Had to learn how to outgrow it.
So what were you like as a child?
Annoying.
Annoying?
No, I think I was, I hope I can be honest. I think I was very inquisitive,
mm-hmm.
high energy. I definitely was diagnosed hyperactive.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. Surprise. So I, very moving a lot, doing a lot of things, playing a lot of sports, played baseball, just always doing stuff.
Did you get into baseball were you able to play in Europe too when you guys lived there?
No, I was a little kid. I mean, I played really when I started was in Massachusetts and then like Nebraska and Atlanta. That's when I got to that. I played. I'll tell you this quick story. I played football. My dad said, "You should play football, son." And I wasn't. I was a lot smaller, but so I played tight end one time, and I remember catching a ball and got hit in my this kidney. I guess your kidney on the right side.
Uh-huh.
Took the wind out of me. I realized I want to be on defense, not offense. I don't like getting hit. I like hitting.
I want to deliver the punishment.
Let me deliver the blow. So I played basketball, but I didn't have any game. I couldn't shoot. Okay. I could just post up and foul.
Yeah. I wasn't good at those sports. I played football one year.
Yeah.
And I was on the second. I guess I was on the second squad.
Yeah.
But that squad was the squad that practiced against the first team defense, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember these guys hitting me so hard that I saw stars.
Oh, yeah.
You know. And
this
I had
before concussion protocol.
Yeah, yeah.
You just got your bell rung.
I'm telling you, man. It's just like in the cartoons.
Exactly.
That's the only thing we had to relate it to then, you know.
There's birds going around my head, like literal birds.
Right. I saw them, and they were like stars, though.
Exactly.
And I had been in the band the first year of high school, marching band.
Okay.
And I got out to play football.
Oh, wow.
And I remember between seasons, I was still in the concert band. And between seasons, I'd be walking down the hall, and Coach would be standing outside the gym going, "Next year, Smith, next year." And I'd be going, "Oh, hell no. We're not going to do that next year."
Yeah.
Going back to the band.
Exactly. No more pain.
Right. I'm not going to do that. So you were in church. So how did you gravitate? Were you guys like going to church around the world?
Yeah.
So you always raised in church?
Yeah. So as far as I can remember, we were always in a church environment. My grandfather was a Baptist pastor. There was always faith in our family. You know, it's kind of the culture, if you will. You kind of grow up, church is just kind of one of those things. For us being in the military, I would say we're more Protestant. And I say that because the same building that we would go to Protestant chapel in was also the same building that Catholic Mass would be in, or it was just a building.
Yeah.
It wasn't like there was no denial. So when my dad got out of the military, I didn't know anything about being Baptist, Pentecostal, Methodist, nothing. So I just was Protestant. And so when he got out of the military, that's when I learned more about the denominations. Mm-hmm. So in a lot of ways, to me, this is my personal theology. In a lot of ways, I liked that because it reminds me of when you read in Revelation or you hear in Romans, Paul's talking to the church in Rome. He's not talking to the First Baptist Church or the First Assemblies Church. And Jesus is not talking to the church, the Methodist Church in Philadelphia. Is the church in Philadelphia. Right. And so it was really cool.
Yeah, man. Well, hold that thought. Folks, we're going to take a break here for studio instrument rentals and Pitbull Audio. We'll be right back.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on InterTalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on InterTalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Welcome to Intersect Radio, where music, faith, and life converge. With your host, Aaron the A-Train Smith.
Welcome back, folks. Thank you for hanging in there with us. Today, my guest is Mr. Otto Price, better known as Sugar Bear, the bass player.
Yeah.
Bass player. Yeah. So before we took the break there, you were quoting Paul or talking about Paul. That's pretty cool. So, which leads me to this question. You must have settled into baseball pretty much after your dad was out of the military.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of got more grounded, stayed in one place for a longer time, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you play piano, bass,
guitar. Yeah.
You play drums too?
I'm not in front of you.
Oh, dude. I was going to have you play for me so you know I was going to turn on the recorder here.
It's basically the beat from that thing you do. On every song.
You know, that beat went a long way back in the day, you know. So tell me, how did the bass become the thing for you?
It was simple. No. It had one string.
But before that, were you a pitcher?
I was.
In baseball?
I played three positions. I was catcher, third base, and pitcher, but my scholarship was in pitching.
Yeah, because when you talk about curveballs, sliders, positions, and relate that to keyboard.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I was a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
So, So that was my main.
I pitched in Little League.
Yeah.
And second base. I was primarily a second baseman. But
pitching was just fun to me. I guess it goes back to, and my wife would probably agree with this, I have a bit of a control freak nature. That's an understatement, she would say, because that dude's crazy. No, but when you're a pitcher, you kind of control you can give a no-hitter, or you can, so
control the pace of the game.
Control the pace of the game, yeah. And so, I was a pitcher.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Cool. So then you decided music was it.
Yeah.
And you gravitated towards the bass.
Yeah.
Why? Why the bass?
There's this amazing quote by the great philosopher Bubba Sparks that said, "I didn't choose rhyme. I ain't choose rhyme. Rhyming chose me." So I could say, "I ain't choose bass. Bass chose me." No, I just that's a joke. No, I really, there was no great thought of being a bass player. You know, there was no master plan. I always, guys that we know, like a Tommy Sims or those type of players, I remember listening and reading their, reading records with Hughes on Tim Miner stuff, or just different things. That guy's an amazing. I always appreciated great musicians, but I just never gravitated to one specific instrument. Like I feel like I'm a bass player. I just think that's why I always encourage my kids now, play your instrument if you can. The instrument will find you. Mm-hmm. And so I don't want to say, hey, you're a guitar player, so I'm just give you guitar lessons, right? And maybe trumpet. So bass was kind of one of those things where it just felt more natural to me. Mm-hmm. I could play on instruments, but I don't have to think when I'm playing bass as much. Mm-hmm. You know how it is. I mean, you play drums, it's almost like it's walking. Like you don't have to tell you how to walk. I just know. I just do it. So.
Mm-hmm. And so, did you went to Tuskegee? Did you go to Tuskegee?
I did not go. That's a whole other conversation. But it was. I think I blew it off. Like I said, I think I was burned out. I don't want to play baseball, and mm-hmm. I'm also a pragmatic, optimistic pragmatist. I felt like even if I'd have gotten there, I probably would be good enough to play in the minor leagues, maybe majors, maybe, but I just felt like, man, I don't want to slug it out trying to make the team and try to do all this stuff for what. And so I stayed home. Took before it was the thing to do, I took a gap year, and that's where we transitioned from a different church there, and we're at this one church, and just I fell in love with the ministry side of it, and just helping. I had time. Volunteered at the church, and then they brought me on as an intern to work there, and I was taking classes and was studying just scripture, and it was great. And then music was just a thing on the side.
And so, why move to Nashville?
The reality was I didn't even that wasn't even a goal. And it sounds like I'm making this stuff up, but I didn't think about Nashville at all. I had a friend that had moved here. This is like '93, and he said, "Hey, you need to." There's this artist, her name was Kim Boyce, and said, "Hey, they're looking for a bass player." And I said, "I'm really not that good, man." So 6 months later, and kind of giving the reality of the time, full transparency. At the time, she's not my wife, but she's a little lighter than I am. So a little more beige. So because of that, there were issues of race.
With Kim?
No, not with Kim. No, Kim is fantastic. But there were issues at this church.
Oh, really?
It's better now. But it was Atlanta. It's the deep South of racial issues, and so for me, when he came around a second time, I thought, well, maybe this is, maybe I'll just go take a break and just go up and try to audition and get away. And so when I came up on audition, I got the opportunity to play with Kim Boyce, and then that's when I met Toby. 6 months later, probably 4 or 5 months later, and then the rest is history. And I've been here ever since. That was it.
Yeah, the Muse.
Yep,
the Muse. And I met Toby and those guys on a tour to Poland.
Oh wow! Because as one does,
right?
That's a normal day.
Yeah, it's a normal day. They had just started, man. It was It was great, but it was very strange.
Right.
I mean, like, we'd be driving down the freeway, and the bus would pull over. It was Charlie Peacock,
wow,
the 77s, dcTalk.
That needs to be a movie. You realize that, right?
Yeah, we should have been filming.
Oh my gosh!
Back then, we didn't think it would mean anything.
Yeah.
What's the name of it? Raz Band.
Wow.
Yeah. And we'd all be on the bus, and the bus would pull off on this freeway, and everything was like black and white. It's Poland.
Yeah.
And we'd be like, why are we stopping here?
Wow.
Pretty soon a car would pull up, and two people would get out and start bringing out baskets. And that was the lunch stop.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like that. And me and you remember Vince Ebo?
Yes.
Me, Vince Ebo, and Roger Smith would be walking down the streets.
Oh my gosh! I love
of Poland.
Wow!
And
you wouldn't stick out at all.
Kids would like stop in their tracks.
They're aliens. There's 10 aliens.
It was the weirdest thing. But anyway, so dcTalk, man, that must have been a great gig.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, they got to be. They are probably the most successful CCM band group, in the history of CCM, right?
Yeah, and it was interesting because when I got with them, we were doing, when I say smaller dates, now it's probably major dates. We were doing probably a couple thousand people a night, and to see it go from that to playing in front of 4,000 people, and then over a year you're playing in front of 18,000. It was just amazing to see. And from a guy who, like, for my life, I remember at one point I was just in Atlanta as an intern at a church. Didn't have a car, driving and sitting in the back of my sister's Pinto to get to church. And then a year later, I'm playing on Jay Leno and doing the Tonight Show and meeting Branford Marsalis. It was just crazy to see how and they were interesting because they kind of had this. They were very upfront with their faith, but yet they had the street cred, for lack of a better word, to get, at the time, get guys like Arsenio or get, just crazy people. Like I heard like Justin, Timberlake, you love these records. And I meet people in LA go, yeah, man, I grew up listening to, I was at when I was doing A&R for Warner, I was at a party with Michael Bublé. He goes, oh, man, I know dcTalk. I used to listen. I'm like, what? How?
Really?
How is this even a thing that Michael Bublé is listening? And so, yeah, they're an enigma in a sense that they had this really rabid, in a good way, and a very firm Christian fan base. But yet there's people that you would look at in more the general market that are very, very familiar with that, which speaks a whole nother conversation of you never know, sometimes we as Christians, we want to go, well, that person's, you don't know what they're listening to. You don't know what seeds are in their heart.
Right.
So don't write them off.
Yeah. You don't know that you're actually the farmer.
Right. Exactly.
Planting.
Exactly.
All sorts of stuff.
Exactly.
And how long were you with dcTalk?
For about 9 years.
9 years?
Yeah. So, yeah. It was 8 or 9 years, yeah. It was, we did, when I came in, we were just finishing up New Thing, and we just started with Free at Last, did Jesus Freak, and then Supernatural was the last tour. And I think the last record. Yeah.
So when it stopped, that's when you stopped.
Actually,
when everything stopped.
I actually stopped. And I'm not the Yoko, but I quit. I got out of the band, and then about a year later, they kind of stopped.
Oh, okay.
So I stopped in like 2001. I think their last official show before the cruise was 2003 or 2002. So yeah.
Why did you stop?
Again, going back to that was never the goal. The goal for me was, from a creative standpoint, I love creating content. I love making music, and I love being the wind beneath the wings for artists.
Yeah.
But I just love that. I love being behind the scenes. And so, like, I had a band, SonicFlood. I started that with two guys, Jason Halbert and with Jeομμh Deyo. So, and that was just to do a worship record, and that wound up being SonicFlood. But why I really got out was I started to produce a lot of bands that started to take off, and I felt like, man, I had the choice. I could tour or I could pursue this production side more, and I prayed about it with my wife, and we really felt like doing the production side was something I was really supposed to do next season.
That's great,
and it turned out pretty good. So
yeah. It has turned out pretty good.
And I miss my babies.
Right.
That was the other thing. When you go on tour, you're like, oh, your son looks at you. Who are you? I'm your father. I don't remember you.
Especially when you go on tour with a very successful band.
Yeah.
And you're touring all the time.
Yeah. I'm sure touring is different now, but back in the day, you could be gone 6 months. And there are times you would go, like we went to, we were gone a month and a half or something like that. We would go to South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and it sounds glamorous, but man, you're gone. And this was before cell phones, and this is before FaceTime and Skype. So,
yeah, when I was with Rich Mullins, we'd go for like 3 months.
Yeah,
and
they call them road dogs. We go road dogs, warriors.
Road
and
warriors.
It felt like, I mean, I would never compare what we do to actual warriors in war, but I mean, you hear people serving tours of duty and they're gone for 18 months and they don't see their families. That's it's hardcore.
Yeah, man. Back in the day. So you step out of that role, and that's when you go into full-time producing.
Yep.
How do you get your clients?
You beg. You sit on the corner. You say, "I will produce for food." No, a lot of
make a record.
You want to make a record? Yeah. A lot of times what I would do is I would meet people. They would meet, you meet people on the road. And they go, and a lot of times what I started off doing was Grits was some of our dancers, and I would do stuff with them, and then that kind of led when I get back home, I had a few people that knew I was traveling, and they said, hey, they want to do music. I go, well, I'll do it for you. And so, and they didn't know that I didn't know what I was talking about, but they trusted me. And so that's how a lot of the earlier things happened. And then after time, and after a while, it became a snowball. It started to, I would get people calling me.
The one great thing is one really cool thing I like about the dcTalk evolution is when you guys went out on tour with Smitty, and you were opening the show,
right? And
kind of somewhere during the tour, it's realized that most of that audience is dcTalk,
right?
You know, and Smitty is gracious enough
to know that.
To know that and open the show and let you guys headline.
Right.
That's special.
Yeah.
You know,
he's a special guy too.
Yeah,
man. He just did a live record.
That's right, you did.
Yeah, I play with him, and and which was cool about that. I was just actually with Calvin Noel, and he and I were talking that Smitty's heart is to find the Davids in the fields, and I think what's one of his superpowers is that he's really comfortable in his skin to find other people by a David in the field. He doesn't have to be that special guy out there. He's just that guy who's faithful doing what he's supposed to be doing. And then Smitty's okay to highlight and to give space for other people who you may not know, but they have something, they're gifted or something. So I think he's made a career of doing that.
Yeah, I worked with Smitty for a year. It was great.
Yeah.
It's really cool. One of the best times I ever had. Touring, being on the road, especially the jet flights back home. Yeah, every now and then.
Yes, the Lear.
Every now and then. Not all the time. Didn't want to spoil us, I suppose.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it was cool. Yeah, and we're going to come up on another commercial break here, folks. I'd like to thank Otto for being here today.
Absolutely.
Thank you, people, for listening. And while I got the chance now, let me say Merry Christmas to everybody. And thank you so much for supporting InterTalk Radio and taking time to listen to this show. It's kind of a new venture for me, and I appreciate you all. Be sure and go to the archives because all the shows are there. You can listen at your leisure. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on InterTalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas, and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now, with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording, and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on InterTalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on InterTalkRadio.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Welcome to Intersect Radio, where music, faith, and life converge. With your host, Aaron the A-Train Smith.
And we're back, folks. This is our last segment. Man, time flies when you're having fun.
Indeed.
Yeah, my guest today, Mr. Otto Price. And in this segment, Otto, I want you to tell us about, you went into production and you discover barley. Is it barley or Barlow?
Barlow.
Barlow. Barlow Girl.
Barley's another thing you can discover. Which they don't do a lot of. But bump.
Yeah. We'll be back next week, folks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's more Sam Adams. Barlow,
right.
Barlow Girl.
Barlow Girl. Tell us about Barlow Girl.
Yeah. It was interesting because they were, I was actually at Toby's house. I don't know why I had all centers around him because it's maybe whatever. But my wife and I were leading worship for Easter thing at their house. And at the time, Mark Stewart was there, and he had a label. He was in Audio Adrenaline. Mm-hmm. And he was there, and he said, "Hey, Otto, we're, again, kind of going to that whole thing. At that point now, I'm getting people asking me, hey, you seem like you have a desire and a talent to work with younger emerging artists that are, kind of rough around the edges. You can kind of help." And so most people would walk away from that. I kind of ran towards those kind of things. Mm-hmm. It's almost, there's certain people who want to be firefighters. Some people want to lead the building. Some people love to run into the building to put the fire out. Yeah. And I love working with younger artists. And so there was a couple of bands he wanted me to work with, and Barlow was one of them. And so did some demos with them. And at the time, really, I felt like, this is my personal opinion, I felt like what they stood for, what they wanted to do was sort of transcendent past their music and what they're, to me. And by that, I mean, I felt like music is almost going back to the whole athletic. I almost look at music mathematical and cyclical. Mm-hmm. So there was Amy Grant, and then the next version would have been a Rebecca St. James. And then I feel like there was a new version that needed to come. And that was, I feel like Barlow could be that. Okay. They could be that generation's version of an Amy Grant or a Rebecca St. James.
Now, what was their configuration? What is their configuration?
3 sisters. And at the time, maybe they had another sister or cousin or something, but there was basically a power trio, drums, bass, and guitars.
Really?
Yep.
They played?
We worked through a lot of things together. And so, but they played bass, drums, and guitars, and we would add, strings, or we bring in session players and do different things. Uh-huh. But, that was pretty much them. And that kudos to them. A lot of what they would do, a lot of the focus was try to reproduce that live. So we would try to do the arrangements where it was commercially viable. It'd sound like a record, but it wouldn't be so over the top production wise that they couldn't reproduce it.
Yeah,
the 3 of them. Yeah, and they were one of the ones, and they didn't want to do tracks. They want to know, they just want to play it live. Mm-hmm. So it worked.
Cool.
They did it.
What are they doing now?
They have since retired from the music business, and last I heard, I talked to them about a couple months ago. I think they were from Chicago, and then they moved to Redding, California.
Redding,
California.
Boy, that's different.
That is a bit different. It's California, so.
All 3, they moved together?
All 3. I think one sister is in L.A. doing, photography or something, and 2 moved up there, and their folks moved. They all kind of in different places, but yeah.
How many records did they do?
Wow. 4, 5 or something. I think it was 5. So we did 4 studio records, I believe, and 4 original records, and 1 Christmas record. Christmas song.
Yeah. And you worked with Rebecca.
Yes.
And then you end up working with for King and Country.
King and Country, yeah.
Those her brothers?
Brothers, yeah.
Okay.
So when I was at Word, I was head of A&R at Word. I was really Warner Nashville, so I would do things with Warner, the countryside. So I would do on the countryside. I had like this guy James Otto, no relation, and like Blake Shelton was over there.
Okay.
What's his name? Legend. It is Forever and Ever Amen. Sorry, Randy Travis. So Randy Travis. And then on the Christian side, we had like Amy Grant, Point of Grace, Jackie Velasquez, and a lot of those people.
Mm-hmm.
So we had another label that came over that was acquired by Word called Fervent. And so under Fervent, there were several different artists under there. And so I would do the Word side, and then we also started a label called Squint. And originally for King Country were signed to that. And that was going to be more of a general market label. Steve Taylor's, that was his connection. Yeah. It was his label. So we kind of resurrected that name, and King Country were going to go on that.
Do you know Phil Seas?
Yes.
I had Phil on the show 2 weeks ago.
Oh, fantastic.
And he's pretty much doing a lot of things you're doing.
Okay.
You know, discovering acts. And he's got, matter of fact, he has like 2 sibling groups.
Oh, wow.
You know, they're all Latin groups, you know. And so it was interesting to talk to him because, you know, he's pretty much gone into that Latin market.
Okay.
You know, and it was very interesting. And it was interesting to know this dude was writing with some heavy hitters when he was 15 years old, you know. I didn't know that about you because we lived in Sacramento.
Yeah.
You know, we did gigs together in Sacramento back in the 80s, you know, weddings.
Yeah. And now he's doing this.
Yeah.
¿Cómo estás?
Yeah. And he doesn't speak Spanish.
Okay. That makes sense.
But he's Mexican.
Okay.
He has people he works with that translate it.
That's hilarious. I've worked with, I won't name the artist, but I've worked with several artists that are of Hispanic heritage but don't speak fluent Spanish. And I thought, what a tragedy.
It kind of is, you know, because, you know, you can find
you want a stereotype, but you kind of go, just one word in Spanish?
Right. To make you look good? Come on.
Yeah.
So tell us, you did the A&R gig.
Yeah.
Is this after the Brent Bourgeois tenure?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So Bourgeois was out. Wow. There's several people kind of. So John Mays had left, and then we came in. I hate to say it. It almost sounds like regime changes, like Republican Democrat, but it wasn't. But the regime before us was another team, and some of those guys they're doing great now. A lot of those guys have gone out, like Sean McSpad, and he's over at Red Light. He's killing it with a bunch of bands. He's managed, like on the Christian side, he will do a lot of stuff with like Mac Powell and Third Day, and a lot of those guys, and more mainstream country artists. And so so we came in after that, and the team that came in after, they were looking for A&R, and that's when they brought me in to come run that.
So what are you up to these days? What's your main thing, and how'd you get there?
Yeah, my main thing, I'm working now at the company. I can't really say it yet officially till it's official. Yeah. But I'll be working with the new corporation doing A&R, same type of thing. But yeah, I'm doing a lot of production work still. Love that. Love developing new artists, and so doing a lot of those type of things. So young and emerging artists.
How do you find them?
Wow, like some come through friends, through word of mouth. I had one I'm working on that came through a pastor friend. Another thing I was working on came from just a friendship. I have a friend here in town. Her name is Shelby Rollins, and she does a lot of vocal coaching. So she works with artists, and they go, and there was an artist she was working with that said, hey, they needed a record done. So you need to call Otto. He can help you out. So
cool. Great.
Those kind of things. A lot of it is, I had a friend that said something which is really true. He said, most of your work relationships will come from your cell phone. It's, don't worry, you can do a resume, but the ones that are meaningful are really through relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how many kids you have?
A lot. 6.
6 kids.
5 boys and 1 girl.
Woo. And they're musicians?
They are. A lot of them are.
They were all on the cruise, weren't they?
They were on the cruise,
Yeah.
yeah. My oldest, Otto, the 3rd, he's a fantastic musician. He's great. He plays multi-instruments. He's better than me. I tell people, there was this joke that somebody said when they asked Paul McCartney, John Lennon, is Ringo Starr the best drummer in the world? He goes, he's not even the best drummer in the band. And so somebody asked me, what does it feel like to be a great bass player? I'm not even the best bass player in my house. So Otto's great. Patrick is fantastic. He plays drums. He's gigging. It's really cool to see him. He's 21. He's playing with a bunch of people around town. Mm-hmm. Nick plays a lot of instruments too. He's at MTSU studying Russian and doing political science. And then Miles is 16, and he'll graduate. He'll start college next year when he's like 16 or 17, and he wants to be a orthopedic surgeon. And my daughter Sarah is a Dell Jr. So she's really good. And then Sam,
she can burn.
Oh man, she does these. You hear her singing. She does these licks, man. I'm like, where'd you hear that from? So she's really cool. She kind of models it after Amanda from Johnny Swim. So that, and then my 8-year-old Sam he's really musical. He just comes up with stuff. So everybody, and my wife Trish, she's literally more classically. She's classically trained and knows more about music. So we're a very musical family, but we never forced it. It's just been kind of like we have instruments around the house and they pick it up, and then when they get serious, we advise them and try to guide them to people who can teach them outside the house. Man,
neither one of my kids gravitated towards the drum kit.
None of them are bass players. I have one that's a bass player, but he does it because he's the only one in the youth group. He's the one in the youth group whose parent has a bass.
Right, so he's got access to one.
So he's, by default, the bass player at church and youth group.
Yeah. My youngest daughter, she wanted to join the band when she was in junior high. So I said, okay, cool. So she got in the band, and like 2 weeks in it, she was ready to quit. I went, nah, you can't quit. And she would never practice. Yeah. It was just the night before a test. She would go, Dad. She would bring out the Baldwin band builder.
Right.
That's like 2 bars of rest. Yeah. 1 quarter note in the next bar. 2 bars of rest. Right. Dad, I need help with this.
You should have called me a month ago.
Yeah. Hey, I take her to the place where I had my drums set up, and I went, look at all these drums. Right. It's just waiting for you, and you only come to me like the night before a test. You could be like blazing the trail right now. Exactly. Just wasn't interested, so I didn't push it. Just let it go. But I told her she could not quit the band. Right. You're going to see this through until school is out.
Exactly. Whether you want to or not.
Right. You could fail every test, but you're not quitting. Exactly. When I was in the band, I didn't know I could quit.
Oh, okay.
In the 6th grade, I had no idea I could quit. I knew the drum line was thinning out, because they would only let us play 1 day a week on Friday. And then we had to play on the cafeteria tables with the Baldwin band builder. Wow. Do. Wow. And we started off with like 20-something drummers, man. By the time school ended, we had like 6. Yeah.
You and somebody else.
Right. The other guy that didn't know he could quit too.
Right.
That's funny. So, we did the cruise, man, and that was great. Yeah. How long did you guys practice to get ready?
What was interesting is we actually didn't practice that much. It was weird. Like some of those songs I hadn't played in 17 years, and it was like muscle memory. Like I was kind of freaking out. Like going back to my son Otto, I said, "Hey, can you listen to these parts? Am I playing them right?" And he goes, "Yeah, Dad, it's this." And I played it, and it was almost like an outer body experience watching my hands go. How do they know to go here? Mm-hmm. So I'm sure it's like if you go back and do songs with Charlie, like you're just like, how do I know these songs? I haven't done it for forever. Or any old Rich Mullen stuff, you probably it's just there. It's somewhere in the back of your head.
Right.
The music's like that. It's
because we did it so much.
You did it so much. It's like people who could, you could pull up, The best part of waking up is Folgers in you. You know, you always know like jingles. That's why it's great because you never forget it.
Right.
Frosted Lucky Charms. You know, magically delicious. And so that's how it was with this. So we practiced probably 3 or 4 days.
Cool.
And then that was it.
You guys killed it, man.
Thank you.
It was great. We had great fun. And once again, I want to thank you for coming here today.
Absolutely.
And being a part of this show. And now you're in the archives.
Yes.
And let's hook up. You know, don't let it be another
20 years,
decade, or century.
Yeah. I'll meet you at the grocery store.
Right. Fruit section. Right. See you guys later. Merry Christmas.
This is Jeắ� Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as DcMiola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be the music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.